If you've got collections sitting on your credit report, you've probably assumed you have to pay every one of them off before anybody will give you a mortgage. On a lot of loans, that's just not true, and that assumption is costing people years. I'm Brad Haines, a Washington mortgage loan originator. I work with first-time buyers and credit challenge files the buyer's other lenders turn away. Collections are one of the most common reasons people count themselves out before they ever make a call. So let's go through what actually happens when an underwriter looks at them. Here's the story I hear constantly. Someone's got a few collections from a few years back. A medical bill, an old phone contract, something from a card they forgot about, and they've decided I'll call a lender once those are gone. So they wait, they save, they chip away at it. And 2-3 years go by while they're doing what they think is the responsible thing, and home prices don't wait for them. The assumption underneath that is that a collection is a locked door. Very often, it isn't even a door. Let me give you real numbers. I'm going to describe the guidelines on the channel. I work through every lender layers their own rules on top, so this isn't universal. But here's the shape of it. On a conventional loan, Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, for a standard single-family primary residence, collections and charge-offs generally do not have to be paid off at all. Not reduced, not settled. They can sit there. On a VA loan, if the file gets an automated approval, same answer. They don't have to be paid. On FHA, there's a threshold. If your total collections, excluding medical, add up to less than $2,000, nothing is required. No payment counted against you. And if you're over $2,000, you still have options, and paying in full is only one of them. The lender can count the payment that's already showing on your credit, or a payment plan if you've got one, or 5% of the balance toward your debt ratio, and medical collections are excluded from that math entirely. One more that surprises people. A charge-off is not a collection. On FHA, charge-offs aren't required to be paid, and they're not counted in your debt ratio. Now the part I'm not going to soften, because this is where people hurt themselves. First, you can't game the threshold. You can't make a partial payment on a collection to duck under the limit. That's specifically not allowed. And if you pay one off before you apply, whatever's left still has to meet the requirement. So the sequence of what you pay and when actually matters, and it's very easy to do it in the wrong order. Second, this is where a lot of well-meaning damage gets done. People go on a spree paying off old accounts right before they apply, thinking they're helping. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they've just created a paperwork problem, spent cash they needed for the down payment, and moved themselves further from closing, not closer. Third, every lender is different. Two lenders can look at the exact same file and give you two different answers, because they each add their own rules on top of the program's rules. So one, no isn't the answer. It's an answer from one lender. I am not telling you collections don't matter. They do. What I'm telling you is that pay everything off first is not the rule, and treating it like one can cost you a house. So if you've got collections on your report and you've been sitting on the sidelines waiting until they're gone, make the call before you pay anything, not to apply. Just to find out where you actually stand and in what order to do things. That conversation is free, and it takes about 10 minutes. Worst case, you learn you've got some work ahead of you, and you leave with a real plan instead of a guess. And if you're a real estate agent with a buyer stuck in the not yet pile because of collections on their report, that is exactly the file I work. Send them my way.